All right, hello collective. Let's jump right into this. So we as humans need to understand not only frequency but also light and color. So that we know how to interact with the realm around us. Today we're going to talk a bit about frequency as well as a bit about color, and how to use them to enlighten your day or life, however it is. As well as helping with like health benefits as well. This is going to be multiple parts. It's not going to be just all in one. But we are going to talk about a few things. So first off, we're going to start with frequency. And we're going to be using a sine wave, which is the purest waveform that we have. Excuse me. And we're going to use that to demonstrate the different frequencies and the notes related to it, so that you don't only have a visual, but an audio example of each note. Notice how the higher notes, when they're played, seem a bit louder than others. The same thing happens with energy, or color. The more that you use it, more vibrant colors, ironically, are a cooler color, while lower vibrations are a warmer color. But regardless, your energy, when you protrude more of your energy, more of your true light, your true color, you tend to get louder. You get more attention in that regard. And you can also see the warmer and cooler colors being higher and lower vibrations is by looking at the ratis, or the chakra system, and looking at the colors on them. The reason behind this is that the faster the vibration, the more solid the object, and the slower the vibration, the less dense the object is. The faster the particles move, the closer they are. The slower they move, the more liquid or gaseous it is. So the faster an object vibrates, the more solid it is. While whenever you're in a lower vibration, it's more of a gas or a liquid. And we can apply this to ourselves. When a human, Hueman, has more confidence, they'll speak slower and with a little bit more power than usual. Now, a dense way of speaking, which usually comes visually rather than audibly. You can say blunt to make it audibly, but when I say it has a more dense way, it's more in the eyes and the body language. Even though the body language might be flowing, it's dense because it's almost impossible to avoid the reaction that message would give you. You know what I mean? It's impossible to not have it hit in a certain regard. When a human speaks out of fear, they tend to speak faster or have a shaky voice. You can sometimes see water pour on their body. You can even say that they're melting in that sense, if that tickles your fancy. But you'll see them sweat. They begin to participate. They create what the lower vibration is, which is that heat, that steam, that blood pressure rises, so it needs to get that water. Well, let's look at the color spectrum and compare it to humans. Think of every color as an emotion, and for this part, just use your intuition. We're not here to identify colors and moods as a full thing. Just keep it for yourself at this time, just to keep it simple. So think of the color red for a second, and what's the first word that comes to your mind? And whatever emotion comes to your mind, and the reason we don't say feeling is because this emotion's energy in motion, and the energy coming from the thought of the color red is in motion. It's creating. So whatever emotion you had for the solid color of red is that emotion. Now, the spectrum has different tints and shades. Okay? So for each tint and each shade of red, there is a greater and lesser emotion that follows it. Think the same for blue, green, purple, pink, orange, any of them. The main, primary, and secondary colors, right? The ones that are in the rainbow. Those are your main emotions. And in between each of those main emotions are the lesser and greater proportions to each emotion and how they connect. You can write these down or just ponder on it, okay? And just see how you define the emotion with the color. Not really to judge it, just to see how you define it, because it's important to know who you are. The more tint or shade the color has, the more the definition changes. We'll talk more on color theory at a later date. We're just doing this simple exercise so you can understand more about what a spectrum is, so that we can leave this ideology of duality, of being in a black and white world, because there are multiple answers rather than saying yes and no. There are branches that happen. It is not a monochrome world that they just want you to live in. Duality is not a thing. It's a man-made construct. That's a matrix. And a matrix is just simply inputs and outputs. Inputs being things that you're fed, like thoughts, faced with ideas and things of that nature, certain teachings, and then your output is literally how you react, how you speak, So allowing yourself to break free from duality, and dye, change color, change your perspective, obtain more, you'll start to see the actuality of reality rather than what you wish to think. The ego wants you to see it as black and white so that you have to pick a side, because we have been indoctrinated, brainwashed, and basically poisoned against our will to think that way, to believe that way, be live, and I don't be live VE. If you really want to spell it out. But when you have a belief system, it's just a thought you tell yourself over and over again. It's not the truth. It's the same thing that happens in American Psycho. Oh my God, why did you kill yourself? Oh my God, why did you kill yourself? It's the same thing. That's a belief. When you believe something, you don't actually know if it's true or not. You just hope that it is and wander this lonesome, dark path until you either come to a self-actualization, not a self-realization, but a self-actualization, and see who you are, or you continuously reincarnate until you're able to see who you are. Which is what a lot of people are trying to not necessarily escape this lifetime, but a lot of people are meant to not reincarnate anymore. You know what I mean? And the best way to do that, and really the only way of doing that, is removing these matrices from you and replacing them with what is true, what is truth to you, not what you believe. And when it comes to beliefs, it goes as far as taking wisdom, sometimes knowledge, because not everyone is wise, from people, from certain places, things, even from yourself, and then not holding on to them so tightly. Again, using the law of attachment, seeing it as someone else wishes to define it, but understanding what it is for you. Now, that comes to be a bit of a delusion, because there is a truth. And a lot of people will say that there's not a truth and that, everyone has their own truth. Yes, but there is a full, solid truth that's trying to get out. So with the ignorance that is being spread, it feels like it's truth because of how much it's talked about. Meanwhile, the actual truth is getting people to move and motivating them, saving them, pushing them forward, getting them to do things, which is how you can really find the truth. The truth will be a motivator, as the truth will inspire you. Whether it inspires an agitated mood or progression on the physical does not matter. It will inspire. A lie will also inspire, but it will dwindle out because it's not, well, true. It's a lie. And what do lies do? They lay down. They can't stand. They must lay. Anyway. Where did we leave off at? Yeah, the world, again, but just to reiterate, the world is not black and white. It is an array of colors. When it comes to healing with frequencies and colors, it's very possible. A lot of us know this, but for those that don't, we're going to talk about it a little bit. You can use color therapy to help you soothe whatever emotion you're dealing with or whatever bodily issue you're dealing with. Just relate it to the Arata system or the chakra system, whichever system you feel comfortable using. I feel more comfortable talking about the Arata system. You may still be comfortable using the chakra system, but just being sure that you are comfortable with whatever you're leaning towards is the goal for this. Okay? But this also can be done with frequency meditations and sound baths. Many times you don't have time to send long messages to people or to sit down and talk with someone when dealing with an emotional surge. Or even just have time to really meditate, you know what I mean? Like, some people feel like you have to close your eyes and meditate when really meditation is just introspection, and some people just can't really introspect easily, or they can't find the time to do so. And this is where color therapy or frequency can come to help. It's better if you do a lot of research with this yourself, and by research I just mean studying on your own with this, finding what colors help you soothe down. Though there are specific colors for specific things, just because of those vibrations, everyone's innate vibration is different, and they will be affected by things differently. That's why some people can pick up on some Reiki masters and not on others. But there are, the Reiki masters that can affect everyone because they inhabit the whole frequency instead of being parted. You can tell the ones who have really found wholeness if they are able to attract all kinds. Whenever they're only attracting one kind, it's because they are shut off to that energy. Instead of allowing it to flow naturally, they're restricting it, which means they still have some sort of lesson to unblock within themselves. But anyway, this is where color therapy and frequency can help. It is more of like a personal exploration idea than an idea that needs to be talked in depth, but we will go over a few examples. And this goes well with foods that correlate with the color. There's the food colors that correlate with the chakras, the aratas, and also for moods. Same goes for oils, scents, candles, because everything is frequency. Everything's moving. Everything has to have a frequency, a vibration, a sound, a light, a color. Because if it didn't, it just would not be here. It wouldn't even be the sense of like you wouldn't be able to even feel it or interact with it. That's why we can interact with oxygen or air, or what is really like chi or life force, however we wish to say it. We can interact with it by inhaling and exhaling it because it has the vibration of that. It's just a very low vibration. We can't see it. But anyway, frequency is everything, and we need to be healed with its nature, with its natural way. It's up to us to use the natural way to heal, not only to bring us back spiritually, but also mentally, physically, and emotionally. The constant poisoning we go under keeps us under pressure. as their plant is. So always when you're going through like emotional upheavals or like body pains, before going to, no, use your discernment with this, obviously. Okay, if it's something you know you can handle and heal on your own, do so. If you need actual advice, find a herbalist. They're all over online. You can go on Facebook groups and find actual herbalists and stuff. You just be very careful. Ask for advice when you're in the group for knowing who to talk to. You'll see the ones that are like highly respected. They'll usually have the most reactions and they'll be positive and stuff, you know. But use your discernment. But a lot of people who are becoming more and more uncomfortable with big pharma, this is your, I don't want to say your gateway, but this is your natural state. Before we jump into this fully, though, we're going to talk a little bit why people don't just use herbs normally. And it's because herbalists were also labeled as witches and were only hunted to replace herbalists with pharmacies. Because how else do you get all the medications, all the synthesizations, if you're not taking from the root source of the plants and then genetically modifying them? Sounds a lot like what Yakub did 6,000 some years ago. You know what I mean? Yeah, the genes never change, baby. They might have holes and patches in them, but they don't change. Let me tell you. But they stole all the information from herbalists. And now when I say stole, you can think back to like what Christopher Columbus did with the raids, just going there, doing what they had to do, and then scavenging, basically. You know what I mean? And they just started calling herbalists witches because they knew how to work with the earth, you know. Any and all common sense was thrown out of the window and called blasphemy because of another reason being the biggest push of religion to keep people under control. So basically anyone who was trying to help Earth, trying to use what was even written in the religious texts, we'll get to that too, as help, it was just turned into blasphemy and then called witchcraft, which again is another hypocrisy with religious texts where they'll say everything you need is in Earth, but yet when you go to an herbalist, they'll call you every name in the book. Whenever you talk to these people about anything, including chromosomes, they'll call you anything in the name in the book because they don't even know their own word that they fucking preach. They don't understand that. Well, and I'm gonna say they as in the blind ones. Obviously the Vatican, the Pope, them, like a lot of us understand these things, but unfortunately the common average Joe walking down the street isn't gonna know the difference between the Bible and a doorknob. So they're gonna assume that like if the Bible says not to do it, even though it's done multiple times, even by Yeshua or Jesus, you know, the same magician that was born from the Most High Mother Mary, which is also another thing. We'll talk about all this stuff. It's very interesting. But we'll get to that later. We're getting off topic. This is still going on. Obviously, there are still herbalists being taken out, silenced. It's on a lesser known scale. And by that I mean they're not being called witches anymore. They're just being called fucking suicide cult members. They're still stuck in the cult scare of the 70s through 90s. They're still stuck in that shit. And they don't want to be talking about that. They won't be talking about that one. Okay. No, but that's what's going on, is they're still scared of, like, they're going through like the cult shock and the satanic shock and stuff of that nature. They're still going through those eras because they don't even realize that the God that they're praising isn't even a God that they think it is. It's an egregore of demonic entities that they just continuously push into because it's man who is perturbing the word of God rather than reading what's written, and also not understanding who wrote which book. So it's just all a bunch of blasphemy if you really think about it. But they're just it's just a game of scapegoating, you know? So it's up to us to fill in those places. And here, I even mentioned in the notes here, it's very odd that the same books these killers follow have so many lines talking about using natural herbs to heal. And many don't look this deeply or read the Bible, actually. They overlook it. They either be live, that it's all a made-up story, or take it as that won't work anymore, or, oh, that was metaphorical. Well, if it was metaphorical, then why after who was it? Was it Ezekiel that had I don't remember the names, excuse me, but boiling plums and things of that nature, like it's all there. I need to touch up on it myself, but it's there. The herbalist way, the way of naturally healing yourself is in the Bible. That's why a lot of religions use the Bible. I mean, what? And that's a good point to bring up, Spirit, because I just got in a past video how I said that they wouldn't have given a book with power to slaves, and what I meant by that, and I meant not necessarily physical power, but a higher source than what they already had of power, because what they were doing is they were giving them instructions. They didn't teach them how to read or anything, so they didn't think that it would work, but they didn't understand that the slaves had very close ancestral bonds. They've already been practicing arts with herbs and things. So when they received these books and they realized that the same herbs that they were using were in this book, they just understood even more what was going on. That's when Lamadas started popping up a lot more, and helping this not only the slaves but the slave owners as their jobs as healers. It doesn't matter who they were there to heal and help. And just as, you know, a lot of healers today are, as you would call them, are here to help. Does not matter background or who they are here for that reason. But a lot of them draw from that same energy. But again, every herb that's for healing is in there. It talks about it. It even says that if it from seeds, like we have seeds, if it does not bear a seed, then do not use it. If it cannot be planted, then don't use it. And a lot of these genetically modified plants, the chemicals that they make, the reason they're man-made chemicals is because they're stripped of their essence. You know, everything has to come from the plant. You just can't wake up one day and go, I'm going to make a chemical. Like, you have to understand, like, the makeup of the plants, of the origin of the element that you're using, right? Are you using fire, earth, air, water, plasma? Are you using solids, liquid, gases? Well, how are we doing this? You know, are we like in a coagulated state? It's all these things that need to be answered, which is, again, even more in depth. I'm not going down that path because that's a different topic for a different day. But again, that's just describing more of the spectrum of, even though it's like one thing, it came from so many other things. It's always an array. It's never a singular thing. This is why it's so important to, as well, just erase. You're not one. Erase that out. You are not one. You are multiple. If you were one, you would not be here. As simple as that. You wouldn't have a purpose here if you were one, because this world does not deal with singularities. You just would not have room to exist. You wouldn't be on this plane of existence. In fact, we're on the 3D for a reason, and not the 1D. And there's a reason why the only thing that can see 1D are ants, and why we, or people, I should say, are compared to ants whenever they're being under control, because they choose to see that they are only one, ignoring that they are a multidimensional being in a multidimensional plane. So understand that as well. Don't let these people lead you astray by saying that, oh, it's becoming one. If you become one, you just don't exist anymore. You're not even classified as what humans would call dead. You just wouldn't even be here. Your name, your energy would not even be a presence. It's not even the fact that you wouldn't even be visible. You just would not simply exist. You would be in a linear, you already happened, you're gone, nothing else matters, because you're after that, it's gone. Like, there's no memory, there's no reconciliation, there's no cycle, there's no revival of the spirit, i.e. books, music, however, arts. There'd be nothing. So you cannot be one. There is no such thing as one. You are a twin individual, you are two, you have a heart and a brain, those two things keep you alive. You know what I mean? The lungs, you got two lungs for a reason. You know what I mean? If you were what, like, there's so many things. It can be broken down in so many ways. But those who keep saying that everything that you are one are still asleep. Let them sleep. Let them believe that lie. Let them keep their eyes shut. They are not ready to open their eyes to the full truth. They only want to peep at it through a little peek through the keyhole because they're not ready to enter the door yet. That's fine. Let them do that. Anyway, back to color theory, because this has a lot to do with duality. Everything has a lot to do with it. And just breaking it apart and just removing that from the conscious. But you can use, for color codes, for the Arat system, we're going to talk about that. You can use the color white to help the Kimu Arat, or the crown chakra, the color purple to help the Arati Arat, or the third eye chakra, blue for the Ashati Arat, third chakra, green for the Abarat, heart chakra, yellow for the Hati Arat, the solar plexus, the orange for the Kepti Arat, sacral chakra, and red for the Senti Arat, or the root chakra. In other words, red helps you ground, orange stimulates creativity, yellow aids in digestion and stomach issues, green is for healing, physical or emotional, blue is for communication or thyroid issues, purple, it can be, and purple is for developing psychic abilities, as well as divine connections. Now, if you want to go a step further, you can take a jar, a glass jar. You know, it doesn't matter if it's a mason or whatever, just preferably a glass. It could be any jar, but just to remain healthy, glass. And fill it full of filtered water and put a piece of translucent colored cellophane in it and drink from whatever color put the colored cellophane in it, and then leave it out in the sun for like 15, 20 minutes, or out in the moon, depending if you want sun water or moon water, doesn't matter. And then drink it. With that color. And this works because water retains information and memory, as it is literally just a liquefied crystalline form. It is a liquefied crystalline being that we ingest that has life in it. Anything that has life in it that has color will be affected this way. That's why when you are in a white room, they do that to make you feel isolation, because white is a very good purifier. And too much of any color can be detrimental to people. You can look up CIA studies where they did this. They did all sorts of experiments on people with color and locking them in isolation with certain like frequencies, sounds and stuff, just changing the environments of people. You can look up all sorts of videos and research documents on it and really see how it affects people. And that's what they're doing a lot with us. That's why we have color coded things for like subjects. That's why certain walls, certain places are painted certain ways to keep you in. You know, we have more yellow lights than white lights. We have more fluorescence than LEDs. And the LEDs that we do have blue light in them. It's all these like small tidbits of things that stack up on top of each other that then become the matrix or the routine that we end up falling down into. But yeah, what the water is already going to retain that memory. Same thing for talking in the water. This practice should not be far out or avoided, as it runs with the same wisdom that a lot of people already follow. You can also use the color associated with frequency of the notes to heal certain areas, including your aura. This can also be done with candles and high vibrational fabrics of color as well. If you watch the Aradas videos that I have, the little playlist, you can find the foods, crystals, oils for each Arat. But that is the first step into spectrums and how we're going to talk about spectrums and frequency and using those to help us heal, as well as we're going to be having a series of vibrational colors. I'm going to be working on making sounds for each of the colors, using the science from the Kemetis, the Egyptians, from channeling, all sorts of things. And we're going to just have like 30-minute color meditations to really feel that color for how it feels to you, so that you understand more of the color. Because energy, when it comes to you, doesn't only have a feeling, it has a color, it has a vibration, it has all these other things that we don't pay attention to. So when you're able to identify it with a color, it becomes less serious. You can detach from it easily. And this is just a really good like therapeutic help as well, because when you're able to see something, because humans love to personify things, because humans have a hard time grasping things if they can't see it. So being able to give life to a color and not making it like, oh, this solid red color only means anger, when actually that red can mean a bunch of other things, as well as in passion and all these other denser energies as you would like to feel them as, and really allowing you to see the array that is around it. And I implore you to do your own research and your own studies on this as well, but this is something that is really going to help you understand the higher frequencies, the new earth in a way, because not only with the new earth, when we get new frequencies, we're also going to experience colors differently, taste differently. Our senses are going to be acting differently. So if we can get our sight caught up first, everything else will fall in so much easier, because it doesn't matter how much you feel, it doesn't matter how much you smell or taste. If you don't see it, it's going to have a different, process behind it. It's like you smell something good and you look at it, but it looks a little off. You'll get that, oh, I didn't expect to look it like that. You know what I mean? Or like how some like provolone cheese smells weird to me, but I fucking love it. You know what I mean? So if I were to not see what provolone looked like and didn't know it was a cheese or like whatever, I would have been really disgusted by it. But since I knew what it was by sight, it changed. And that's the big thing. Everyone knows that when you see something, your perspective will change because you see it. Doesn't matter when you feel it, because when you feel it, you need to have something visually there. That's why we get confirmations from our angels with angel numbers, signs, synchronicities, colors, even all these things. Because, again, we need to personify it. We need to add a personality to it. We need to see it full-fledged out to be able to actually attach ourselves to it. But I hope you all enjoyed this class. Expect more. Keep your eye out for the color meditation series. Everything's in the description, email, the Otter Spirit link, the order form link as well for readings or whatever you need. Thank you all so much, though, for all the likes, comments, shares, subscribes, and donations, whether they are energetic or financial. I appreciate them to the moon and back tenfold and holy and forever and always. But I love you all so much to the moon and back tenfold and forever. And I will see you all later.